Star Wars fans, the time has come. Execute your sadness and get ready, because the Book of Boba Fett is here, and I am here to break down spot Easter eggs, references and callbacks in the Book of Boba Fett Episode 1. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let's begin. So we begin with Boba Fett in a bacta tank, which explains why he looks much better at the moment than he did when we first saw him, or first saw him again in The Mandalorian Season 2. Much less scars on his face, and his natural tanned skin has returned a bit. We know from the Clone Wars when Yoda was submerged in what may or may not be bacta, it's some kind of water but it's not confirmed if it were bacta, he was aided into a deep meditative state and was able to communicate with the dead and got many visions. As for Boba Fett though, he's no Yoda and he just had some dreams. But these dreams appear to be PTSD as he gets flashes back to Kamino, Geonosis where he watched his father Jango die at the hands of Mace Windu, potential foreshadowing to an appearance from Mace, and himself in the Sarlacc pit. The shot we get of him inside is very similar to this fan art that's been made very popular by the fans. And while inside the Sarlacc we also see a stormtrooper who did not fall in Return of the Jedi, so he has already been there for probably a few years, the last time the Empire were near a Sarlacc I guess. And that dude did not make it out with Boba, so he is going to be digesting for thousands of years. Ouch. Anyway, like I said, Boba manages to escape and he does that via his flamethrower, and he ends up collapsing as soon as he gets out, and he is laid unconscious for a very long time because night comes around, the Jawas arrive, strip his body of his armor, and he still don't wake up. However, the Jawas stripping Boba of his armor explains how the Jawas were in possession of it so that Cobb Vanth could trade it in the flashback scene we got in The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. The sun rises again, or the two suns, and we see the Tusken Raiders, and we are shown despite Season 2 of The Mandalorian, they are still very evil as they literally drag Boba Fett's body across the sands of Tatooine, and when they get back to camp he is also again tied up, similar to how Shmi Skywalker was tied up by the Tusken Raiders, potentially meaning that she was also dragged along the desert of Tatooine. We then get a callback to A New Hope as we see a first-person shot of Boba Fett behind the Sand People, and we can see that they are in single file, which is something that Obi-Wan Kenobi,
hello there,
or Old Ben Kenobi,
hello there,
tells us that they do, or tells Luke that they do.
Sand people always ride single file to hide their numbers.
We are then given the title, The Book of Boba Fett of course, but the title of the episode is Stranger in a Strange Land, which for me is telling me that we and Boba Fett himself don't know as much about Tatooine as we once thought. After some more time with the Tusken Raiders getting beat up for no reason, further proving that they are evil, and a failed escape attempt, Boba is awoken from his back-to-tank nap by Fennec Shand. In doing so, Fennec calls Boba boss.
Wake up, boss.
Which is obviously true because Boba is her boss, he saved her life, so now she works for him. But the fact that she said boss rather than Boba is more proof that they aren't friends, they simply work together. And we get this throughout the episode. We get the feel that Fennec doesn't really want to be there, but I think by the end of the series they are going to be genuine friends. Boba says that the dreams are back.
the dreams are back.
Meaning he's experienced this before and it's probably going to happen again, but again Fennec just doesn't really care, which further proves what I just said a minute ago. Their relationship is literally the opposite of half of the Star Wars series, you know, like Omega and Hunter. Hunter's the one in charge but Omega's the one that cares more. Boba's the one in charge of Fennec, but she's the one that doesn't care. Boba then goes full Iron Man mode and gets suited up by droids, and he goes down to see all the people that are here to give him some random gifts, but they say pay their respects instead of that. But just before this happens, Boba obviously puts on his helmet, and it makes the exact same sound as Vader putting on his, or getting his put on, in Revenge of the Sith. This is kind of a callback, but it's also just keeping things the way they have always been in Star Wars, because this is simply the sound of the air being sealed off from inside the helmet. So here we go then, the first guy gives them some money, but they can't understand him because they don't even have a protocol droid, they just have this random skinny thing that looks like a banking clan member. Then some Trandoshan comes that Boba knows from some past experience that we don't know of, and I think this is foreshadowing of Bosk's appearance in this series. However, he gifts some Wookiee skin, or fur, or hair, what do you want to call it, but what does he think Boba wants with Wookiee fur? Maybe it's valuable or something, because Wookiees are a rare species and it'd be quite hard to get their skin off of them, but that's the gift he gave Boba. Personally, I think they've just done this to point out again that Trandoshans and Wookiees notoriously hate each other, and to call back to the fact that Boba actually wore a little bit of Wookiee fur on him in a comic. I'll show the photos of that now, but when he pointed that out to Chewbacca, let's just say it didn't go too well for him. Next up, we get a really annoying Twi'lek assistant, or as he says, Major Domo of the Mayor, instead of the Mayor himself, which just shows that Boba isn't quite as respected as someone like Jabba was, because the Mayor himself would definitely come to meet Jabba. During this conversation, we see the difference between Fennec and Boba, because Fennec wants to kill the dude because he doesn't bring any gift and actually asks for a gift for the Mayor himself, but Boba rules with respect and logic, so he doesn't kill one of the Mayor's major domos because this would upset the Mayor. However, the Twi'lek says that the Mayor may take it differently when the idea of Boba paying him is quickly shot down, foreshadowing a potential future fight between some of the Mayor's forces and Boba Fett himself, and this may actually be the fight that we see later on with the assassins that try and kill Boba and Fennec Shand, but I'll speak more about that when we get to it. Boba then decides to keep some Gamorrean guards alive that serve both Jabba and Bib Fortuna despite Fennec Shand's disapproval, and this later proves that Boba isn't all clueless and the way that he's going about things can work sometimes. They leave the palace and walk on foot to Mos Espa, again showing Boba is different as he didn't want a litter like Jabba would have, but in fairness, Jabba walking, or whatever he does, would take significantly longer anyway. Fennec again disapproves, saying it would be better if he just accepted their ways, again showing a clear difference between them, as Fennec wants it easy, but Boba won't settle for anything less than exactly what he wants. And we've seen this before from the character of Boba Fett, as he talks back to Darth Vader, saying that he needs Han Solo alive.
He's no good to me dead.
We then head to a cantina which is actually looking pretty bright and happy, especially compared to the one in A New Hope, because in this one, even droids are allowed in. They get their helmets cleaned, and later on, after they talk with Garsa, they are returned with money in, which actually puts them at a disadvantage in the fight, because they can't wear their helmets, because there's money in them. My theory is that Garsa did this on purpose because she knew that they were going to get jumped by the assassins, because all of them are secretly working for the Mayor. Anyway, when introducing himself and Fennec Shand to Garsa, he mentions how Fennec Shand is a master assassin, which is definitely a not so subtle threat. However, he just refers to himself as Boba Fett.
This is Master Assassin Fennec Shand. I'm Boba Fett.
Instead of saying, I'm Boba Fett, the best bounty hunter the galaxy has ever seen that has worked alongside and was trusted by Darth Vader himself. Anyway, after a quick business talk and the return of their helmets like I pointed out earlier, we see a sign of friendship for the first time between Fennec and Boba.
Huh. Yours looks shinier than mine.
They then leave Garsa, and like I've been saying this whole time, they are then jumped by some assassins and they are trapped in by some energy shields. A lot of people have been moaning about why Boba didn't just jetpack over and shoot them from behind. Well, the only explanation I have is he didn't want to leave Fennec in the middle of all of those assassins. And another thing, Boba's mind and his body isn't perfect, isn't what it once was, so maybe he just didn't think of it. This happens very often. People think certain things are plot holes or just problems that they have, when in reality, not every character is a complete genius that can think on the spot 100% of the time. The Gamorrean guards then arrive, proving Boba was right to spare them, and they absolutely come in clutch in this fight, eventually making them win. 2 assassins try and run away, well 3 before Boba disintegrates one. Fennec goes to chase down the next 2, Boba says he wants them alive, and then because of how injured Boba was in this fight, he gets the Gamorreans to take him back to his Bacta-pod while Fennec is chasing down the last 2. The chase scene with Fennec and the 2 assassins is pretty similar to how we see Fennec escape certain times in the Bad Batch, showing that it being a considerable amount of years later, she still has kept her parkour skills. She also gets knives thrown at her by the 2 assassins in this chase, which is something that we see her do in a different episode from the trailer, showing that she learns from her fights, as she had some trouble avoiding those knives in this scene, as she literally had to jump off the building. However, despite this, Fennec still beats the 2 of them, and she only needs one of them alive, so she kicks the other one off the edge. Like I said, Boba goes back to the Bacta tank, and he immediately goes straight back into a dream, where him and the B-Tech snitch Greedo lookalike are taken on a walk by the youngling Tusken Raider. They see some pirates raiding a moisture farm, and they leave a symbol that Boba seemingly recognizes, but they leave them, they carry on their walk, and they start digging in the sand. The Greedo lookalike digs up a huge monster. Boba defeats the monster by strangling it with a chain, just like Leia defeated Jabba the Hutt, which is a huge feat from Boba, by the way, because that thing was huge and very strong and had 6 limbs. And yes, you heard me correctly, I said youngling Tusken Raider. It's not just a term for Anakin's victims, it is also a term for just young people in the galaxy. Also, there was a little callback to The Empire Strikes Back with Luke Skywalker. Boba is hanging upside down because of a big monster he ends up defeating. Luke is hanging upside down because of a big monster, which is a Wampa, which he also ends up defeating. And finally, they head back to camp and Boba is handed some water by one of the Tusken Raiders, showing that he's finally earning some respect from them, which is exactly what he's trying to do in the crime world in real time. He's trying to earn some respect from the people involved in it. As of right now, there's no post-credit scene, but I do believe there will be in at least the final episode, so a solid entry into Star Wars, the classic, solid Episode 1 that Star Wars series tend to have nowadays, like The Mandalorian, The Bad Batch, etc, etc, using 99% of the trailer footage, leaving the rest of the series a mystery. So with that being said, that is my breakdown, Easter egg hunt, reference hunt, callback hunt of the Book of Boba Fett Episode 1. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, let me know anything I missed, and yeah, let me know if I should do this for Episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's not an 8 for some reason we have an odd number, but yeah, if you enjoyed, please do leave a like, subscribe, thank you for watching, goodbye.